Good morning, beloved. Let us begin this new day not in fear, not in doubt, but in faith. Every morning we rise is a testament to the fact that the battle is still on, but so is our strength. Life doesn't always greet us with sunshine. Some mornings, we wake up heavy with burdens, silent fears, unanswered questions, and the weight of a spiritual fight that many around us can't see. These battles are real. Spiritual attacks aren't just ideas, they're assaults on your peace, your purpose, your identity, your family, and even your destiny. The enemy isn't after your comfort. He's after your calling. He's threatened by what you carry, so he tries to crush it before it matures. There are moments in life when everything around you feels like it's collapsing. Your relationships, your health, your finances, your joy. It feels like the very ground beneath your feet is shaking, and you're left wondering, God, where are you in this? But it's important to understand. Just because you feel crushed doesn't mean you are defeated. Just because the pressure is intense doesn't mean the purpose is lost. In fact, some of God's greatest work begins in the breaking. When we go through hardship, we often think something is wrong with us. But what if the breaking isn't a sign that you're weak? It's a sign that you're chosen. Throughout Scripture, we see a divine pattern. Brokenness precedes breakthrough. Before David became king, he was hunted. Before Joseph was elevated to power, he was thrown into a pit and then a prison. Before Jesus multiplied the bread, he broke it. That tells us something. God uses brokenness as a stage for blessing. He doesn't abandon us in the middle of the battle. He equips us in it. Pain, as unbearable as it may feel, has a purpose when it's surrendered to God. The enemy wants you to focus only on the pain so you miss the process. But God is not interested in leaving you the same. He is allowing the fire to refine you, the crushing to release the oil within you. You are not being buried, you are being planted. And even if the enemy tries to convince you otherwise, God sees what's happening. He is not distant from your suffering. He is right there, in the silence, in the tears, in the ache. He's not just watching your fight, he's training you in it. Every hit you've taken, every loss you've endured, every prayer you've prayed through clenched teeth and tired eyes, he's using it all. This is the season where your scars will speak louder than your wounds. The battle may be intense, but it's shaping something in you that comfort never could. You're being prepared for a level the enemy never wanted you to reach. And though it may feel like everything is being stripped away, what remains will be unshakable. What you gain in this fight will outlast what you lose. So don't despise the breaking. God is not done. The storm is not your end. It's your setup. The blessing is not in spite of the breaking. It's because of it. There are seasons in life when pain becomes a constant companion. Not the kind that's easily visible to others, but the kind that sits quietly in your chest, in the back of your thoughts, in the lonely spaces of your heart. It's the kind of pain you carry while you smile for the world, show up for your responsibilities, and keep going because you have no choice. And in those moments, it's easy to wonder if anyone sees, if anyone truly understands. But even when people don't notice, God does. God sees what others overlook. He doesn't need you to scream, to explain, or to prove that you're hurting. He knows. He knew before you formed the words. He understood the depth of your ache even before the tears touched your face. The Bible tells us that He is near to the brokenhearted, not far off, not indifferent, not waiting for you to pull yourself together. He is close. He leans in when the world turns away. He collects every tear. Not one goes unnoticed. That's not poetry. That's a promise. You may feel invisible in your pain, but heaven is not blind to it. Every sigh, every sleepless night, every silent cry into your pillow. God has seen it all. Not one moment of your suffering is wasted. Not 1 second is ignored. We often think God is only present in our victories, in our joy, in the good days. But He is just as present, if not more, in our brokenness. He draws near when we're weak. He doesn't despise your weariness. He cradles it with compassion. There's something sacred about your suffering when it's laid at God's feet. Pain becomes a prayer. tears become testimonies. Your groans become a language that heaven understands. And while the enemy wants you to feel forgotten in your hardship, God is working in ways you can't yet see. He's holding you steady when you think you're falling apart. He's strengthening your faith when all you can do is whisper his name. He's standing in the fire with you, not waiting for you on the other side of it. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply stay in his presence, even when it hurts. Because healing doesn't always come with loud miracles. Sometimes it comes quietly, like peace in the middle of chaos. Sometimes, the evidence of his love is not in the removal of the pain, but in his faithful presence through it. When life becomes too heavy, and your soul feels worn out, remember, you are not carrying this alone. The God who spoke the stars into existence is the same God who sits with you in your suffering. He doesn't rush your healing. He doesn't shame your sorrow. He sees it all. He holds you in it. He honors your tears as the language of your heart. And he will never turn away from the cries that rise from a soul in pain. There are times in life when everything familiar begins to shift, when the foundations you once stood on seem to shake, and the places you felt safe no longer offer shelter. In those moments, you may feel abandoned, isolated, or forgotten. You may even question your worth or wonder if your prayers have fallen on deaf ears. But the truth that must anchor your soul in these seasons is this: you are not forsaken. No matter how fierce the fire, how loud the storm, or how dark the night, God is with you. His presence is not limited by circumstances or cancelled by hardship. His promise still stands. In the fire, you may feel the heat. You may feel surrounded. But just as God was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace, he is walking with you in your trial. You are not going through this alone. The flames may rise, but they will not consume you. The waters may rise, but they will not drown you. The enemy may come in like a flood, but the Spirit of the Lord will raise a standard against him. What the enemy sends to destroy you, God uses to develop you. The trial isn't proof of your abandonment, it's proof of your assignment. The enemy strikes with lies, fear, confusion, and delay. He wants you to feel unprotected, unworthy, and unloved. But his power is limited. He cannot take what God has covered. He cannot destroy what God has destined. He cannot cancel what heaven has ordained. Your calling is not fragile. Your purpose is not in danger. When God puts his hand on your life, no force in hell can remove it. The battle may be raging, but victory has already been declared. Sometimes, the fire is the very place where we find out who God really is. It's in the middle of affliction that we discover the depth of his faithfulness. He doesn't promise a life without struggle, but he does promise never to leave us in it. When everything else is stripped away, his presence remains. When people walk away, when answers don't come, when the path is unclear, God is still present, still guiding, still protecting. Don't measure God's love by your situation. Measure it by his word, his cross, and his character. He is the God who stays. He is the one who sits with you in silence, strengthens you when you're weary, and covers you when you feel exposed. Even if the enemy surrounds you, he cannot reach past the hedge God has placed around your life. You are not easy prey. You are divinely protected. The enemy might try to touch your mind, your peace, your relationships, or your stability, but he cannot touch your destiny. You are sealed by the Spirit, covered by the blood, and held in the hand of the Almighty. Even when you can't see the way out, trust that God is already in your tomorrow, making a way where there seems to be no way. There is something sacred about brokenness that the world often overlooks. While society celebrates perfection, strength, and control, God works through surrender, weakness, and humility. The very places in our lives that feel shattered and ruined are often where God chooses to reveal his greatest power. Brokenness is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of God's rebuilding. When you feel as though your life has fallen into pieces, God does not discard you. He picks up every fragment with tenderness and begins a new masterpiece. What the enemy thought would destroy you, God uses as the foundation for something unshakable. We see it throughout Scripture. Time and again, God uses the broken to accomplish the extraordinary. He chose Moses, a man with a stutter and a past, to deliver a nation. He chose David, a shepherd boy overlooked by his own father, to be king. He chose Paul, once a persecutor of the church, to become one of its greatest apostles. Why? Because brokenness invites God in. When pride is stripped away, when our strength runs out, when we come to the end of ourselves, that's where divine power begins. You may feel like what you've lost is beyond repair. You may carry scars from betrayal, failure, sickness, or pain so deep that words cannot explain it. But nothing is too broken for God to use. He is not intimidated by your weakness or repelled by your pain. In fact, He draws closer. He comes to heal, to restore, and to breathe new life where only ashes remain. He doesn't simply patch up the old, He makes all things new. When the enemy attacked you, it wasn't just about your present. It was about your future. He wanted to sabotage your confidence, your purpose, and your trust in God. But here you are, still standing, still believing, still seeking, even with wounds and weariness. That is strength. Not the kind the world defines, but the kind forged in fire, refined by trials, and anchored in hope. The strength that grows in brokenness is not shallow or fleeting. It is deep, enduring, and unshakable because it's not your own. It's God's strength working through you. Do not despise your scars. They tell a story of survival. They are proof that the enemy did not win. They are reminders that God held you together when everything else was falling apart. You are not who you were before the breaking. You are wiser, more compassionate, more resilient, and more aware of who God is and who you are in Him. He is rebuilding the areas of your life that the enemy tried to ruin. Your joy, your faith, your relationships, your peace. And what He rebuilds is always stronger than what was lost. This process may not be easy. Healing never happens in a straight line. But every step you take, every tear you cry, every time you choose to rise again, you are being shaped into something stronger, more radiant, more powerful than you've ever been before. Pain has a way of narrowing our vision, making it hard to see beyond the moment we're in. When we're hurting, it's easy to focus only on the ache, the confusion, the disappointment. We wonder why things happened the way they did, why prayers seemed unanswered, why doors closed instead of opened. But even in the midst of that suffering, there is a truth that cannot be shaken. God wastes nothing. Every trial you face is not meaningless. It carries a lesson, and every wound you bear has the potential to become a powerful testimony. You may not understand it now. You may feel like the season you're in is breaking you down, delaying your dreams, or robbing you of your strength. But heaven sees the bigger picture. God knows what's ahead of you, and He is using this very moment to shape you for it. Nothing in your life is random or out of His reach. Every tear, every setback, every closed door is part of the preparation. Pain often does the work that comfort never could. It deepens your character, sharpens your focus, and stretches your faith. It's in pain that we discover things about ourselves we never would have learned in easy times. It's in loss that we realize what truly matters. It's in the wilderness that we learn to trust God as our only source. We tend to resist discomfort, but it's often the soil where growth takes root. Just as a seed must break before it can rise, we too must go through a season of breaking before we see new life and purpose rise within us. The breaking is not the end. It's the beginning of becoming. God never allows pain without purpose. Sometimes the pain protects us from paths we weren't meant to walk. Sometimes it strengthens muscles we didn't know we had. Sometimes it humbles us so that we don't build our lives on pride or self-reliance. And sometimes it prepares us to minister to others in ways we couldn't if we hadn't walked through the fire ourselves. The very thing you're going through right now may one day be the reason someone else finds hope. Your survival story will become someone else's lifeline. Don't rush this season. Don't curse it either. Sit with God in it. Ask Him what He's teaching you, what He's forming in you, what He's calling you to release. Because when you come out on the other side, and you will, you won't just be healed, you'll be transformed. You'll carry wisdom, authority, and compassion that can't be taught, only lived. And you'll look back and realize that while the pain was real, so was the purpose. Even when you don't feel it, trust that God is working. He's not punishing you, He's preparing you. He's not breaking you down to destroy you, He's building you up for what's next. And when the time comes, you'll step into that new season stronger, wiser, and more rooted than ever before, knowing that everything you endured was not in vain.